Day 959, talking about training splits, how we organize our training day to day within a given block or period of time to best manage fatigue, prevent injury, and drive progress. Prosaically, what I mean by all that is, if you have a given block of time, let's say a calendar week, although you don't have to use a calendar week specifically, given the total volume of training that you do for your sport or activity, how do you break it all up so that it fits tenably within that given period of time? Most commonly, we discuss training splits specifically in the context of lifting, although, like I mentioned earlier, really it should encompass all of these things: your stretching, your cardio, your sport-specific work, like mat time, for instance, skill progressions, things like this. But at a fundamental level, particularly for people new to, lifting weights, exercising, gym culture, whatever the case may be, sport, we most often discuss training splits in the context specifically of the lifting portion. So for ease of understanding and just an overall introduction to the concept, I'll focus on training splits in the context of lifting for this discussion today. To do otherwise would expand into the broader concept of periodization, which requires its own series of videos. So with lifting, we commonly see a few kind of traditional models of training splits passed around from generation to generation, and those are these. There's full body split, so in other words, you train your entire body in one session. So you might do a squat, and then a hip hinge for the hamstrings, and then a row for the back, and then some kind of press, and then something for the biceps and triceps, maybe even calves, and then shut it down until you're recovered. The advantage here, of course, is that you get everything in one session, but you're not necessarily going to be able to give any specific area as robust a stimulus as you would with some of these other training splits that I'm going to discuss moving forward. Okay, so we did full body. Next, let's cut the body in half. We can do an upper-lower split. So one day you do all upper body stuff from the waist up. So that means you do all your pulling exercises, pressing exercises, arms, shoulders, even call it abs and lower back. And then on another day, you do all your quad, hamstring, calf, glutes, and depending on how you look at it, also abs and lower back. The advantage to this split, obviously, is your upper and lower body parts, particularly your legs, get a much more robust stimulus from the training. And because of that, you can go a little bit longer in between sessions using this kind of approach, but you still have to distribute your training volume amongst a variety of body parts each day. Then there is, for whatever reason, currently much maligned push-pull leg split. Not sure why everyone's going after it right now. Probably because, I don't know, it's actually pretty decent and not fancy or novel. But anyways, a push-pull leg split is what it sounds like. So instead of dividing your training volume into halves now, you divide it into thirds. So you do all your pressing movements one day. So that would be any chest pressing, shoulder pressing, tricep movements, even though those are extensions, but you can ostensibly consider them pressing as well. And then all your pulling movements. So rows, traps, rear delts, and then curls, followed by all your leg movements. So hamstrings, quads, calves, glutes on a third day. The advantage of push-pull legs really lies in if you're trying to develop your upper body, on account of the fact that your lower body training stimulus stays relatively similar to the upper-lower split, although there might be some differences in volume depending on how much you distribute to your upper body. However, the day that you devote to the pressing exercises gets a much more robust stimulus specific to pressing, and the pulling day gets a much more robust stimulus specific to pulling. So you're splitting your focus evenly three ways. So in other words, legs, pressing, and pulling each get a third emphasis, as opposed to legs getting half, and then pulling getting 25%, and then pressing getting 25%. That's conceptual and on paper. Of course, you could do an upper-lower split and absolutely crush your chest, do some rinky-dink pulling exercises and some rinky-dink leg exercises. And so really in practice, your chest is getting the lion's share, even though on paper you're doing an upper-lower. But all things being equal, without like fudging the exercises, push-pull legs, generally speaking, will give a greater priority to each half of the upper body, 1/3 each respectively, leaving the remaining third for the lower body. And then lastly, there's the bro split, which doesn't really have a textbook definition, although colloquially we define it as devoting a day to each individual body part so that it gets its own focus. And that can go down a bunch of different ways. Like you could go, okay, Monday is chest, and then Tuesday's back, and then Wednesday is legs, and then Thursday is arms, and then Friday is rest, and then so on and so forth. Obviously, what that allows you to do is put a lot of focus in very specific areas, which for certain individuals may be key, particularly if you're a physique competitor, because you might have areas that are lagging behind others that just end up that way as a natural consequence of your other training, like say for a sport, for instance. An example would be, say you're a football player or a thrower, so you do a lot of bench pressing, your chest grows like a weed, but you have like itty bitty arms. So you might want to do a bro split and give your arms their own day so that you can put extra focus in making them grow if you transition into physique competition after football and throwing. Just an example. Now, there are some different splits that we haven't really talked about that don't often come up in discussion. For instance, there's anterior-posterior splits, so where you train all the things on the front half of your body one day and then all the things on the back half of your body the other day. So what that would look like would be, you do chest, abs, biceps, quads one day, and then you do back, rear delts, glutes, hamstrings, calves another day. There's a bunch of different ways you can cut it, folks, and that's kind of the fun of training, is just figuring out what's amenable to you and your schedule. And this is by no means a definitive list of all the training splits. Just a quick discussion of some of the different ways that you can arrange your training, and then take that arrangement, fold it holistically into your day-to-day so that it's amenable to your schedule, work, and life needs. And then in that way, the pursuit of your health and fitness goals becomes a sustainable source of enrichment in your life that you can and want to do with consistency, because consistency is a superpower. So stay in the fight. Like, subscribe, share the video, leave a comment down below, and thanks for watching.